Listen closely. The truth is the world doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to who you are. And if you keep showing up like your own life is optional, don't be surprised when no one sees your value, because the first person who needs to believe in you is you. If you're always waiting for someone to recognize your potential, you're already losing. People treat you based on the standards you show them. If you show up sloppy with your goals, if you joke about your dreams, if you constantly break your own promises, that's not humility, that's self-sabotage. You don't get respect from others by demanding it, you get it by embodying it. And it starts in the mirror, the way you talk to yourself, the way you get out of bed when you said you would, the way you follow through when no one is watching. That's where confidence is born, not in the spotlight, in the shadows, when it's just you and the decision to keep going. If you want a different life, raise your standards, respect your time, speak like your words of weight, act like your days count, because they do. Every choice is a vote for the person you're becoming. And if you keep voting for the smaller version of yourself, that's the only version that will win. Stop playing casual with your calling. That version of you that shrinks your dreams down to make others comfortable, that person has to go, because you weren't designed to blend in. You were made to build, to lead, to stretch past average. But that only happens when you stop asking for permission and start owning your identity. Don't wait for the perfect moment to feel ready. You get ready by moving. You get ready by committing. You become worthy in the process, not before it. That's what taking yourself seriously looks like. Not arrogance, not ego. Just quiet, powerful belief in the direction you've chosen. And listen, your future is already calling. But the version of you that keeps procrastinating, hiding behind distractions, or settling for less, that version can't answer the call. You're not here to dabble. You're not here to survive the day. You're here to build something real. And that begins the day you finally say, take myself seriously. I believe I matter. I will no longer treat my goals like a hobby. This is my life and I'm showing up like it matters. Everything changes after that, everything around you. The opportunities you attract, the relationships you form, the respect you receive is a mirror. It reflects one thing, how you treat yourself. That's a truth most people never take the time to understand. They're too busy wondering why people don't support them, why doors aren't opening, why no one seems to recognize their potential. The deeper truth is, if you're not showing the world that you take yourself seriously, it won't take you seriously either. See, we teach people how to treat us, not through words, but through energy, behavior, and consistency. Every time you cancel on your own plans, every time you settle for less, every time you dim your light to fit in, you're telling the world, Doug, I don't value me, so you don't have to either. And life listens. People listen. Opportunities shrink when they sense you're not ready to care to what you claim to want. Now let's get real. Most people are walking around hoping that someone else will believe in them first. Their boss, their partner, their friends, society. But here's the reality check. No one's coming to crown you. No one's coming to hand you confidence. It doesn't work like that. Confidence is not given, it's earned through action, through alignment, through integrity with yourself. When you say you're going to do something and actually follow through, even when it's hard, even it's inconvenient, that's when you begin to trust yourself. That's when your energy shifts. That's when people begin to pay attention. Because now you're not just talking, you're becoming. The problem is too many people walk around with potential they've never activated. And then they wonder why no one sees it. Let me tell you something, potential that isn't backed by discipline becomes invisible. You could be the most talented person in the room, but if you carry yourself like someone unsure, someone inconsistent, someone who keeps making promises they don't keep, the world see that. People feel it. And they move on. Taking yourself seriously means understanding that you are responsible for setting the tone of your life. You are the CEO of your energy. You're not waiting for a sign. You're creating one. You're not looking for validation. You're living in a way that commands respect without even asking for it. That's power. Not because you're loud or flashy, but because your life reflects clarity, conviction, and courage. Let's talk about energy for a second. You walk into a room and people feel something, whether you're aware of it or not. And what they feel is directly tied to how you feel about yourself. If you walk in like you don't belong, like you're unsure, like you need everyone's approval, guess what? You're putting yourself on sale. You're discounting value before you even open your mouth. But when you walk in owning who you are, not in arrogance, but in presence, you shift the entire space because people like someone who respects themselves. Now, I know this isn't easy, especially if you've been conditioned to stay small, to please everyone, to downplay your strengths so you don't make others uncomfortable. But let me ask you this. How has that been working for you? Has that version of you, the one who waits to be noticed, the one who hesitates to speak up, the who second guesses everything, has that version of you brought you the life you want? Because if not, it's time to fire that version. Let it go. It's not serving you anymore. You can't lead a powerful life while treating yourself like an afterthought. You can't ask the world to invest in you when you won't invest in yourself. That means investing time, energy, and intention into your growth. That means setting boundaries not to push people away, but protect your priorities. That means getting clear on what you stand for and refusing to apologize for it. Because when you start treating yourself with seriousness, everything begins to shift. You speak differently. You move differently. You stop chasing attention and start attracting alignment. People notice. Opportunities notice. Because now you're not just participating in life, you're directing it. Let's go deeper. If you're constantly undervaluing your worth, accepting less, settling for friendships or jobs that drain you, putting off your dreams until you feel ready, you are programming your subconscious to believe that this is all you deserve. And the subconscious is powerful. It doesn't respond to your potential. It responds to your patterns. That means if your life keeps looping, if you keep ending up in the same situations, it's because your self-treatment hasn't changed. You can't expect transformation with the same identity. Something has to upgrade. And it starts with how you see you. So what does it look like to take yourself seriously in real time? It looks like honoring your word, especially to yourself. If you say you'll get up at 5 a.m., get up. If you say you'll stop tolerating disrespect, stop. If you say you're going to build something, start building, even if no one claps, even if no one gets it. Because that's how you build trust with the most important person in your life, you. And when you do that consistently, your life starts to catch up with your new standards. People respect you more. You attract different circles. You show up with clarity instead of confusion because you're no longer asking for permission to be powerful. You're simply living that way. And trust me, the world can feel that. The world bends for those who walk in purpose. At the end of the day, you are either teaching the world that you are worth showing up for or that you're optional. And every moment, you get to choose which signal you're sending. You're not here to live by accident. You're not here to hope someone gives you a shot. You are the message. You are the first example people will ever see of how to treat you. So set that standard high. Show up like your future depends on it, because it does. Take yourself seriously, because when you do, the world will have no choice but to follow. Growth isn't complicated. It doesn't require a genius level, like some magical opportunity to knock at your door. Growth starts with one thing: self-respect. Without it, everything else crumbles. You can set goals, build vision boards, read all the books. But if you don't respect yourself, those goals become empty, because without self-respect, you won't follow through, won't raise your standards, you won't protect your time. You won't walk away from what drains you. And that's the root cause of most people's stuckness. Not a lack of strategy, but a lack of internal respect. Look around. So many people are operating from a place of self-neglect, not self-respect. They compromise their boundaries to please others. They betray their values just to be liked. They numb their inner voice because listening to it would force them to take action. And they wonder why they feel lost. They wonder why nothing feels meaningful anymore. But you can't live a meaningful life while abandoning yourself in the process. Respecting yourself isn't about being selfish. It's about being aligned. And when you're aligned, you don't chase peace. Peace becomes your default. Self-respect is built in the small moments, not the grand ones. It's built every time you do what you said you would do. Not for anyone else, but for yourself. It's when you say no to something you know is beneath the life you're building. It's when you refuse to lower your standards because it's convenient. And it's when you decide that your future is worth more than temporary comfort. That's self-respect. That's when growth begins to anchor. Not in theory, in practice. A lot of people are disciplined when others are watching. But what about when no one sees? What about when it's just you and your habits? That's where the truth shows up. That's where character is built. Because self-respect doesn't need an audience. It doesn't need applause. It shows up quietly, consistently, and with purpose. It's the voice inside you that says, this is not good enough for me anymore. And then it does something about it. When you start respecting yourself, you begin to create a life that reflects that respect. You stop tolerating half effort from yourself. You stop over-explaining your worth to others. You stop wasting time on people who don't honor your boundaries. Why? Because now you see your value, you see your future, and you're not willing to compromise that for cheap attention or temporary validation. Growth doesn't start with adding more. It starts with subtracting what no longer fits. The relationship that drains you, the environment that stunts you, the excuses that comfort you. They have to go. But here's the key: you won't let go of what you secretly still believe you deserve. And that's why self-respect is the game changer. Because once you respect yourself deeply, you automatically reject anything that doesn't match your vision. It becomes instinct. You don't even have to think about it. Your life becomes a filter. What's not aligned just won't last around you. Let's be real. The reason most people don't grow is because they're still negotiating with their old identity. They're still clinging to comfort, still explaining why they can't change, still tolerating environments that feed their excuses. And all of that is a reflection of self-worth. When you truly respect yourself, you stop negotiating with fear. You stop making excuses sound noble. You stop identifying with the part of you that keeps playing small. Because now you've raised your identity, and that changes everything in shape. Respect your body, you want to build wealth. Respect your time, you want to have better relationships. Respect your emotions, you want peace. Respect your mind. Growth isn't a motivational quote. It's a pattern of behavior rooted in how much you believe you're worth. You don't show up for what you don't value. So if you're not showing up for your own life, you need to ask yourself, when did I stop believing I was worth it? The real tragedy is not failing. The tragedy is being capable of transformation, but never demanding it from yourself. And you'll never demand it unless you believe you deserve it. That That deep sense of I am worthy of more. That's what separates those who evolve from those who repeat. Because once you respect yourself, you no longer allow mediocrity to exist in your presence. You rise. Not because you're better than anyone, but because you're better than the version of you that used to settle. But don't confuse self-respect with arrogance. It's not about walking around with ego. It's about walking around with intention. It's about knowing your values so clearly that you no longer need to argue about them. It's about being so grounded in who you're becoming that you don't get shaken by opinions, delays, or detours. When you carry self-respect, people feel it. They know where you stand. They know what you allow. And more importantly, you know what you will no longer accept. Everything changes when you get serious about you. Your focus sharpens. Your distractions fade. Your habits align. Why? Because now you've decided that your life matters too much to treat it casually. This isn't about being perfect. It's about being committed. And that commitment grows every time you choose to respect yourself, especially when it's hard. You'll have days when you want to quit, days when your old patterns try to pull you back, days when nothing seems to be working. That's when self-respect becomes your anchor. You don't give up because you made a promise to yourself. And that promise means something now. It's not just a goal written in a notebook. It's who you are. It's what you stand for. It's your new identity. And here's the truth no one talks about. Once you start respecting yourself, you'll lose people. You'll outgrow rooms. You'll be misunderstood, but don't let that shake you. That's the price of rising. That's the price of growth. You can't keep everyone happy and keep evolving at the same time. So choose. Choose the path that honors your future. Choose the road that builds your courage. Choose self-respect, even when it's lonely, especially when it's lonely. Because once you start walking in that energy, the world changes how it sees you, not because you told it to, but because you showed it how through your consistency, through your boundaries, through your example. And that's real power. Respect yourself enough to grow, even when it's uncomfortable. Respect yourself enough to build, even when it's slow. Respect yourself enough to change, even if no one claps for you, because the applause you're waiting for doesn't matter. The transformation does. And it all starts with the simple, powerful decision to treat yourself like someone worth fighting for, because you are. Most people are stuck not because they lack talent, time, or opportunity. They're stuck because they're waiting for the perfect moment, waiting for someone to validate their idea, waiting for a sign that they're worthy, waiting for permission. But life doesn't hand out permission slips. No one is going to knock on your door and say, it's your turn now, you're good enough, you're ready. That moment never comes because it's not given. It's claimed. You step into your next level not when the conditions are perfect, but when you stop waiting and start deciding. Let's be honest, waiting is comfortable. Waiting lets you off the hook. It gives you a way to avoid risk while still pretending you're planning something great. But you know what it really is? Fear dressed as patience. Fear pretending to be strategy. Fear that sounds like I'm just being realistic, or it's not the right time, or maybe later when I have more experience, more confidence, more support. But what you're really saying is, I'm afraid to own my power. And if you keep operating like that, you'll blink and realize 10 years have passed and you're still stuck in the same place, still talking about what you could be doing, still looking for a sign. Here's the true thing. The people who change their lives are not the ones who feel 100% ready. They're not the ones who got approval first. They're the ones who moved anyway. They started the business even when people laughed. They made the decision before they felt fully confident. They chose to act without the applause. Because deep down, they understood something most people don't. Waiting doesn't make you more ready. Doing does. You grow when you move. You get clarity while taking action. You become worthy by stepping into the fire, not sitting on the sidelines hoping someone calls your name. The most dangerous belief you can hold is that someone else holds the keys to your future, that your boss decides your worth, that your past determines your capacity, that society gets to say what you're capable of. That belief keeps you trapped forever, because as long as you're outsourcing your power, you will never claim it. And life doesn't reward the passive. It rewards the committed. It rewards the bold. It rewards those who say, I don't need the world to crown me. I'll crown myself. Stop asking. What if I fail? Start asking. What if I never try? Because failure isn't falling down. Failure is giving up your authority to fear. Failure is living a life built on everyone else's expectations while burying your own potential in silence. And if you want to build something real, a purpose, a legacy, a life that lights you up, you can't do it while asking for permission. You have to move from a place of internal certainty, not external validation. Because if you don't believe in your path, who else will? Think about it, Ick. All the people you admire, all the leaders and creators who changed the game. At some point, they had to go first. There was a moment when no one believed in them, when they had no guarantee of success, when people doubted them, mocked them, misunderstood them, but they moved. Anyway, they didn't wait for perfect timing. They created it. They didn't wait to feel fearless. They acted through the fear. That's what separates those who rise from those who repeat. It's not talent. It's not luck. It's decision. A decision to stop waiting and start building. The truth is, waiting is a form of self-rejection. Every time you delay, every time you second guess, every time you tell yourself, not yet, you're reinforcing the idea that you're not enough. And over time, that becomes your identity. You begin to see yourself as someone who's always almost ready, someone who needs more time, more approval, more permission. until you no longer recognize the version of you that once had fire. That's the cost of waiting. It doesn't just rob you of time. It robs you of who you could have become. But you can choose differently. Now, not someday, now when the timing feels right. Now that dream you've been carrying, give yourself permission to chase it. That change you've been avoiding, give yourself permission to make it. That bold step that scares you but won't leave you alone. That's the door. That's the move. And no one's going to open it for you. You've got to kick it down. Not because you're ready, but because you're done waiting. When you finally give yourself permission, you stop apologizing for wanting more. You stop playing small to make others comfortable. You stop explaining your worth and start embodying it, and the world starts responding. Not instantly, not always smoothly, but gradually life starts to align with your decision. Because the moment you shift from doubt to action, from waiting to doing, from hoping to owning, you become unstoppable. It's not easy. People won't always understand. Some will project their fears onto you. Some will try to talk you out of it. But here's what they don't understand. You've already spent enough time waiting. You've already played that game. You've already seen what happens when you shrink your power, and you're done. You're done pretending. You're done explaining. You're done waiting for someone else to tell you it's okay to start living fully. This is your life, your mission, your moment. No more asking for permission, because what you're really waiting for isn't out there. It's in you. It's the decision to finally believe that you are worthy of the life that calls you, that your voice matters, that your dream matters, that your time here isn't meant to be wasted playing it safe. The people who change the world are not the ones who waited. They're the ones who dared to move first. Before they felt ready, before they had all the answers, before they had the guarantee, they moved because they knew this one truth: your life doesn't change when others believe in you. It changes when you believe in you. So stop waiting. No one is coming. No one is going to give you the green light. That light has always been in your hands. You just have to turn it on. There comes a time in your life when you've been no longer fits who you're becoming. And in that moment, you're faced with a choice. Either you rise and meet the future with strength, or you retreat and stay loyal to a version of you that's already expired. Your future is not asking for the casual, inconsistent version of you. It's not asking for the one who waits, hesitates, negotiates with fear. It's demanding a more serious you, a version of you that shows up with purpose, with urgency. Because let's be real, greatness doesn't respond to the lazy, the distracted, the lukewarm. It responds to the committed. The truth is, most people live like they've got unlimited time. They move through the day like tomorrow is guaranteed. But the future isn't promised. It's built. It's built by the actions you take today, the choices you make when no one's watching, the mindset you bring into every moment. And if you keep showing up like your future is optional, then you'll keep getting optional results. That's the gap between where you are and where you want to be. It's not the economy, not your background, not your circumstances. It's how seriously you take your own life, or next level of life requires a new level of you, not a more talented you, not a more lucky you, a more serious you, more focused you, a more intentional you. Because the future you say you want, the peace, the success, the impact, that version of life doesn't respond to the version of you that still procrastinates, still makes excuses, still says maybe later. Every time discipline is required. That life will only open up the version of you that shows up like it matters. Because it does. Stop trying to bring the old mindset into the new season. You can't build the life you dream of with the habits you've been avoiding. You can't expect a high-level outcome with low-level effort. You've got to start holding yourself to higher standard. That doesn't mean being perfect. It means being real. It means being honest with yourself about what you're tolerating and what you're putting off and what needs to change, because nothing changes until you change. Not your job, not your relationships, not your income. The outer world will always reflect your inner seriousness. The question is simple, how serious are you about your future? Not how excited. Those feelings fade. Those is different. Serious is rooted in decision. Serious means I'm done waiting. Serious means I don't need motivation to do what I said I would do. Serious means this isn't just a dream, it's a non-negotiable. And when your future becomes non-negotiable, your excuses start to die. You stop playing small. You stop letting fear write your story. You stop tolerating anything that doesn't serve your direction. People will try to convince you to stay casual, to be easygoing about your goals, to relax and not push so hard. But here's the truth. They don't carry your vision. They don't wake up with your regrets. They don't live with the consequences of your inaction. You do. And if you want to create something meaningful, something that outlives distraction, that outgrows comparison, that outshines mediocrity, then you can't live like everyone else. You can't operate like the masses and expect elite results. You have to rise. You have to lead yourself first. You have to become someone who can be trusted with the future you claim to want. That starts with structure. That starts with boundaries. That starts with discipline. Discipline is not punishment. It's proof. Proof that you've decided. Proof that you're no longer hoping, you're executing. Proof that you're not waiting to feel like it. You're moving because your mission matters more than your mood. And that's what a serious person does. They don't chase convenience. They chase growth. They don't react to life. They build it. Every day is a test. Every moment is a decision. Will you show up like your future matters, or will you keep borrowing time from a tomorrow that may never come? Most people think they have time, but the clock is ticking. And one day you'll look back and realize you were either preparing for the life you wanted or making peace with the life you settled for. There is no middle ground. So don't wait to become serious when it's already too late. Being serious about your future also means surrounding yourself with serious people. People who call you out, not just cheer you on. People who push you higher, not pull you back. People who remind you of your power, not your past. Because the company you keep will either elevate you or drain you. There's no neutral. And if you're serious about growth, you can't keep entertaining conversations that keep you stuck. You can't keep explaining your goals to people who don't understand your drive. You've got to protect your mind like your future depends on it, because it does. There's no shortcut here. No easy road. You don't get the reward without the responsibility. You don't get the prize without the process. But the moment you get serious, truly everything begins to shift, not all at once, but slowly you'll see it. Your mindset sharpens. Your habits align, your circle improves, your confidence grows. Why? Because now you become someone your future can depend on. So ask yourself, if your future could speak, what would it say? Would it say, thank you for showing up when it was hard? Or would it say, why did you abandon me? Your future is not something you arrive at. It's something you create right now with the decisions you make, the standards you raise, the effort you bring, even when no one claps, especially when no one claps. You're not here to live on repeat. You're not here to play small. You're here to become someone powerful, someone purposeful, someone prepared. And that person only shows up when you stop making excuses and start making decisions. So be honest, be bold, be relentless, and most of all, be serious. Because once you do, life will get serious about you.